Okay, folks, the bulk of this week will be Chapter 6. I just want to explain to you why we're skipping over Chapter 5 in any degree of detail. And we'll come back to it where it becomes useful to us. Chapter 5 introduces a new Java construct, which is also really good with collections, which is why our authors put it here. But it's new and it uses a different kind of syntax, and I don't want you getting confused between the different syntax methods. So remember, if you watch the history of programming language, Java's been getting pressure from other programming languages that are raising in popularity, and so it's adopting some capabilities from other languages, but those capabilities break the core way you do things in Java in terms of the mental model. So the as opposed to object-oriented programming, it's functional programming, and it's usually used with what are known as streams, but there are also streams of data in Java, so don't let those two things confuse you. Here's the key thing. It was introduced in Java 8. It comes from languages like Lisp and Haskell and Erlang, and these are honestly not languages that I use, although some of my colleagues who work with them love them for what they are capable of doing. So they introduced this concept of a lambda, which changes the syntax, and it's a different way of dealing with collections in terms of stream operations. So lambdas look like simple methods in that they have a return type and they have parameters and they have a body, but their syntax is weird in that they don't have a name, and here's the weirdest thing. Java's an object-oriented language. It's sort of like the object-oriented language for the last 25 years, and there's no object associated with these things. They're really just for dealing with data. So, for instance, let's say we're looking at sightings of wildlife. The top would be the way we would do it, the way we think about Java with objects: public, void, print sighting, give me a sighting record, ask that record to get its details, and we'll print that out. The lambda form, notice there's no declaration. There are records of type sighting, and when you see that, tell the record to get its details and print things out. Now that doesn't look too different until you get to kind of our loop approach, where it's like, okay, our for each loop. For each record of a sighting in the sightings collection, print the sighting for that record, versus the lambda approach, which looks kind of like this. Sighting stop for each sighting record, and then lambda notation, do this action. I'm not going to invest a week, when some of you are still getting your feet under you, worrying about this kind of notation. When we get to doing GUIs, this sort of notation will make our life easier, but this is just why we're skipping the entirety of Chapter 5. It has everything to do with you guys are still relatively new to the language, and introducing a syntax that's bolted on much later in the language's history is not beneficial to you right now. Okay, I'll see you in Chapter 6.